What if grieving for the dead is the most ignorant thing you can do? What if you've been taught to fear something that doesn't actually exist? The Gita's answer will change how you look at life and death. Is it possible to become immortal? The answer isn't about surviving, but about letting go of what you think you know about life and death. Rediscovering Gita for the Modern World by Shrikant Soman. Based on Essays on Gita by Sri Aurobindo. Chapter 7 continued. The Creed of the Aryan Fighter. Continued from the previous episode 61. The Twofold Answer. Krishna's Initial Foundation of Truth. Current episode 62. Beyond life and death, the true meaning of immortality. The illusion of death, Krishna's ultimate truth. Immortality is not survival, but transcendence. Key takeaways. Immortality as transcendence, not survival. Immortality is not merely surviving death. The qualities of an immortal soul, a person who is a slave to transient sensations and emotions, and is subject to grief, is not fit for immortality. The folly of ignorant grieving. The passage defines an Aryan ignorance as being disturbed by sorrow and the trivial circumstance of bodily death, and being overcome by self-pity and a recoil from what is an unavoidable process. The imperishable nature of existence, the soul, which is eternal and indestructible, cannot cease to be. Birth and death as milestones. The cycle of birth and death is a process of the soul's pilgrimage, with birth as an appearance from an unmanifest state and death as a return to it. Main passage. Immortality. Here, we should note that immortality does not mean the survival of death. Death is inevitable to every creature born with a mind. Immortality means the transcendence of life and death. It means that ascension by which man ceases to live as a mind-informed body and lives at last as a spirit and in the spirit. Disqualification of person for immortality. A person who is subject to grief and sorrow, who is a slave to the sensations and emotions, who is occupied by the touches of things transient, cannot become fit for immortality. Limit of forbearance. These things must be borne until they are conquered, till they can give no pain to the liberated man, till he is able to receive all the material happenings of the world, whether joyful or sorrowful, with a wise and calm equality. This is like the tranquil eternal spirit's secret within us receives these things. Un-Aryan ignorance is to be disturbed by sorrow and horror, as Arjuna has been disturbed. To be deflected by them from the path that has to be travelled. To be overcome by self-pity and intolerance of sorrow and recoil from the unavoidable and trivial circumstance of the death of the body. It is not the way of the Aryan climbing in calm strength towards the immortal life. Death. There is no such thing as death. It is the body that dies, and the body is not the man. That which really is cannot go out of existence, though it may change the forms through which it appears. Existence. Similarly, that which is non-existent cannot come into being. The soul is and cannot cease to be. This opposition of is and is not, this balance of being and becoming, is the mind's view of the existence. It eventually finds its end in the realization of the soul as the one imperishable self by whom all this universe has been extended. Fact of life. Finite bodies have an end. However, that which possesses and uses the body is infinite, illimitable, eternal, and indestructible. It casts away old and takes up new bodies, as a man changes worn-out raiment for new. There is nothing there in this to grieve at and recoil and shrink. Soul. This is not born nor does it die. nor is it a thing that comes into being once and passing away will never come into being again. It is unborn, ancient, sempiternal. It is not slain with the slaying of the body. Nobody can slay the immortal spirit. Weapons cannot cleave it, nor the fire burn, nor do the waters drench it, nor the wind dry. Eternally stable, immobile, all-pervading, it is forever and forever. Reality. It is not manifested like the body, but greater than all manifestation. Not to be analyzed by the thought, but greater than all mind. Not capable of change and modification like the life and its organ and their objects, but beyond the changes of mind and life and body. It is yet the reality which all these strive to figure. Even if we assume for a moment that the truth of our being is less exalted, vast, intangible, by death and life. If the self were constantly subject to birth and death, even then the death of beings ought not to be a cause of sorrow. Death is an inevitable circumstance of the soul's self-manifestation. The process of birth is the appearing out of some state in which it is unmanifest to our mortal senses. We cannot call this state before birth as non-existent. It is existent but not manifested. Death is a return to that unmanifest world or condition. Out of this unmanifest state, the soul will again appear in this material world through the process of birth, thus repeating the cycle of birth and death. The scenario painted by the physical mind and senses about death, and the horror of death, whether on the sick bed or on the battlefield, is the most ignorant of nervous clamors. Our sorrow for the death of men is an ignorant grieving for those for whom there is no cause to grieve. After death, these men have not vanished from the existence. They have also not suffered any painful or terrible change of condition. Instead, beyond the point of death, these men are equally in existence and equally happy or sad in their mental state before death. In reality, the higher truth is the real truth. We in our own self are all that self, that one, that divine. To him we look on and speak and hear of as some other being outside of us. We consider him as the wonderful entity beyond our comprehension, though in reality we ourselves are that. It is interesting to note that no human mind has ever fully and completely known this absolute, with the help of our seeking and declaring of knowledge and learning from those who have knowledge. It is this absolute, which is here veiled by the world, the master of the body. All life is only its shadow. The coming of the soul into physical manifestation, and our passing out of it by death, is only one of its minor movements. When we have known ourselves as this, then to speak of ourselves as slayer or slain is an absurdity. We have to live only in only one thing, which is the ultimate truth. The eternal manifests itself as the soul of man in the great cycle of its pilgrimage. Birth and death are its milestones on a very long road. Worlds beyond this material world are its resting places. All the happy as well as sad circumstances of life, battle and victory are the means of our progress. Immortality is the home to which the soul travels.